Picture this. You're driving down the highway at 70 miles per hour with your family in the car. Without warning, your engine seizes. No power steering, no brakes. Just you, helplessly coasting toward disaster while 18-wheelers barrel past. This isn't a horror movie scenario. This is reality for thousands of General Motors customers right now. We're talking about nearly 900,000 vehicles with engines that can catastrophically fail without warning, some with as little as 1,200 miles on the odometer. And here, in November 2025, this crisis is far from over. Today, I'm breaking down the GM L87 engine disaster, what went wrong, who's affected, and why this could cost the automaker upwards of $7 billion. Let's dive in. So what exactly are we dealing with here? In April 2025, General Motors issued one of the largest safety recalls in recent memory, affecting their 6.2-liter V8 L87 engine. This isn't some obscure engine in a forgotten model. This is the power plant in GM's most profitable and popular vehicles. We're talking about Chevrolet Silverado 1500, GMC Sierra 1500, Chevrolet Tahoe and Suburban, GMC Yukon and Yukon XL, Cadillac Escalade and Cadillac ESV. The initial recall covered approximately 597,630 vehicles in the United States alone. Globally, we're looking at over 720,000 units. These are vehicles from the 2021 through 2024 model years, manufactured between March 1, 2021 and May 31, 2024. But here's where it gets worse. As of this month, November 2025, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has expanded their investigation to include an additional 286,000 vehicles. That brings us to a staggering total of nearly 900,000 potentially affected trucks and SUVs. The NHTSA's Office of Defects Investigation has received 1,157 reports of bearing failures and catastrophic engine damage. And get this, 173 of those reports involve vehicles outside the original recall window, including 2019 and 2020 models. So if you own one of these vehicles from 2019 to 2024 with the L87 engine, you need to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Now, let's talk about what's actually going wrong inside these engines, because understanding the problem is crucial. The root cause comes down to manufacturing defects in three critical components: the crankshaft, the connecting rods, and the bearings that allow these parts to move smoothly. Here's what GM's investigation revealed. First, sediment and debris embedded on the connecting rods during manufacturing. Think of it like microscopic metal particles that should have been cleaned away but weren't. Second, contamination in the crankshaft oil galleries, the tiny passages that deliver life-giving oil to keep everything lubricated. Third, out-of-specification crankshaft dimensions and surface finishes. Basically, parts that weren't machined to the exact tolerances they needed to be. When these three problems combine, you get bearing failure. The bearings start running hot because they're not getting proper lubrication. They begin to wear down rapidly. Metal fragments break off and circulate through your oil system, causing even more damage. The end result? Your engine seizes completely. Or worse, a connecting rod punches straight through your engine block in what mechanics call throwing a rod. When that happens, your engine is done, finished, destroyed. And this can happen with virtually no warning. Owners report hearing a slight ticking or knocking sound one day, and by the next day, complete engine failure. Some engines have failed at highway speeds, leaving drivers stranded in live traffic lanes with no power steering or effective braking. The NHTSA report documents 12 potentially related crashes and 42 fire incidents in the United States alone. Most injuries were minor, but the potential for catastrophic accidents is very real. One owner described being stuck in the middle of Interstate 5 in the rain, trapped between guardrails and massive trucks after their engine suddenly died. Another lost power in the left lane next to an 18-wheeler. These aren't fender benders we're talking about. These are life-threatening situations. Hey, before we continue, if you're finding this information valuable, I need your help with something. I'm on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers before Christmas, and I'm asking you to make my channel one of your gifts this holiday season. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to me. If you own a GM vehicle, know someone who does, or just want to stay informed about automotive issues that could affect your safety and your wallet, hit that subscribe button right now. Share this video with your friends and family who drive these trucks and SUVs. This information could literally save lives. All right, let's get back to this crisis. So what is GM actually doing about this mess? The official recall process works like this. Step 1. Dealers inspect affected vehicles using two specialized diagnostic tools. The first is a GM picoscope, which is essentially a precision digital oscilloscope that analyzes engine sensor signals. The second is a specialized wiring harness specifically designed for diagnosing L87 issues. Technicians are primarily looking for diagnostic trouble code P0016, a synchronization fault between the camshaft and crankshaft. If your vehicle passes this inspection, here's what happens. You don't get a new engine. Instead, GM switches your engine oil from 0W20 to a much thicker 0W40 high-viscosity oil. They'll also replace your oil filter, give you a new oil fill cap to reflect the change, and update your owner's manual. Oh, and you get a 10-year, 150,000-mile powertrain warranty that transfers with the vehicle if you sell it. Now, if your engine fails the inspection, you're supposed to get a complete engine replacement with what GM calls a corrected process long block assembly. According to GM's labor guide, this replacement takes between 18 and 18.6 labor hours depending on your specific vehicle. Here's the problem. GM doesn't have anywhere near enough replacement engines. They rely on a single supplier for L87 crankshafts. When you're talking about potentially replacing engines in up to 900,000 vehicles, and that's on top of regular production demands, one supplier simply cannot keep up. Many customers report calling their dealers only to be told, "We'll contact you when parts are available." Some have been waiting months with vehicles they're afraid to drive but are still making payments on. And let's talk about that oil change fix for a moment. Switching to thicker oil is essentially a Band-Aid solution. The thicker oil creates a more substantial barrier between moving parts, which can help protect bearings that aren't yet damaged. But here's the thing. If there's already debris in your oil passages, if your bearings are already showing wear, thicker oil isn't going to fix that. It might just delay the inevitable. Multiple class action lawsuits have been filed arguing that this oil change doesn't address the underlying defect, and they have a point. Plus, that thicker oil costs more. Owners are looking at an additional $20 to $30 per oil change, and some lawsuits allege the decreased fuel economy from running thicker oil will cost owners hundreds of extra gallons of gasoline over the vehicle's lifetime. Now let's talk money, because this is where things get truly staggering. In the second quarter of 2025, GM's Chief Financial Officer, Paul Jacobson, confirmed that the L87 recall drove up warranty costs by $300 million compared to the previous year, and that's just for one quarter. Some analysts are estimating the total cost of this recall could reach between $5 and $7 billion when you factor in engine replacements, extended warranties, legal settlements, lost sales, and damage to brand reputation. To put that in perspective, GM reported a $1.1 billion decline in earnings for Q2 2025. While they attributed much of that to tariff costs, the engine recall was identified as the second biggest expense of the quarter. And the lawsuits keep piling up. 10 separate class action lawsuits have already been consolidated in Michigan federal court. These lawsuits allege GM knew about the defect and continued selling vehicles anyway. They claim GM failed to inform buyers about the risks. Some argue that even the replacement engines are defective because GM hasn't actually redesigned the faulty components. One lawsuit, filed by Wisconsin resident Keith John, argues that GM is replacing defective engines with essentially the same defective design, just manufactured with slightly better quality control. The first class action, Powell versus General Motors, was filed back in February of 2025, and multiple companion cases have followed across various jurisdictions. But it's not just the lawsuits. This recall is destroying resale values. Owners report dealerships offering them tens of thousands of dollars below market value on trade-ins. One owner with a 2-year-old Suburban reported being offered 25% below Black Book trade-in value. Another lost $17,000 trading in a 2024 Silverado with only 5,251 miles. Would you buy a used truck or SUV knowing its engine might catastrophically fail? Most people won't, and that's crushing the secondary market for these vehicles. Here's what really concerns me about this situation. GM claims they fixed the manufacturing issues. According to their official statement, a series of crankshaft and connecting rod manufacturing improvements implemented on or before June 1, 2024 addressed contamination and quality issues. That's why 2025 model year vehicles aren't included in the recall. Supposedly, the problem is solved. But should we trust that? Remember, GM was receiving field complaints about these engine failures as far back as April 29, 2021. Between that date and February 3, 2025, they received over 14,000 complaints specifically about L87 engine failures involving crankshafts, connecting rods, or bearing failures. That's nearly 4 years of data before they issued a recall. And now the NHTSA is investigating whether the problem extends beyond the vehicles GM recalled. Those 173 reports of failures in 2019 and 2020 models suggest this issue might go back even further than GM has acknowledged. This raises serious questions about quality control, corporate responsibility, and whether profits were prioritized over customer safety. GM is fighting to maintain customer trust at a time when they're also dealing with struggles in the Chinese market, losses from their Cruise autonomous vehicle division, and the ongoing challenges of their electric vehicle investments. Some industry analysts are genuinely concerned about GM's long-term financial stability if this crisis continues to escalate. For GM customers, the uncertainty is maddening. If you own one of these vehicles, you're stuck in limbo. Do you trade it in and take a massive financial hit? Do you keep driving it and hope your engine doesn't fail at 75 miles per hour on the highway? Do you park it in your garage and keep making payments while waiting for GM to fix it? There are no good answers here. So where does this leave us in November 2025? The NHTSA's expanded engineering analysis is ongoing. More lawsuits are likely coming. Thousands of GM customers are still waiting for replacement engines that may not arrive for months. What's clear is this: the L87 engine recall represents one of the most serious quality control failures in General Motors' recent history. The financial, legal, and reputational consequences will be felt for years to come. If you own one of these vehicles, here's my advice. Get your VIN checked immediately to see if you're covered under the recall. Don't wait for GM to mail you a notice. Document everything. Every oil change, every service visit, every unusual sound or symptom. And if your engine fails, contact a lemon law attorney immediately. You have rights, and you need to protect them. For everyone else, this is a cautionary tale about the importance of manufacturing quality and corporate accountability. I'm going to keep following this story as it develops. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the updates. What do you think about GM's handling of this crisis? Have you been affected by this recall? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.